Well, you guys are live.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 20th, 2026 meeting of the Newcastle Town Board. The town has been in executive session, and at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to open the work session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, today we're going to start off with a discussion of a speed limit reduction study conducted by Creighton Manning. The origins of this are a Town of Newcastle initiative that we've taken to increase safety on our roads for cars and pedestrians. And one of those safety measures is the reduction of speed limits. You know, we will address other measures, traffic calming and other measures that can improve safety. But for now, we're going to talk about speed limit reductions. And we have Sarah Carroll here from Creighton Manning. Thank you for being with us, Sarah. And we did get a preliminary study from you at the end of last year. And now you've come back with a completed study. And we look forward to hearing your results. So I'll let you get started.
Great, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Sarah Carroll. I'm a project manager, professional engineer, and professional traffic operations engineer for Creighton Manning. Been working on a number of speed studies throughout New York State, and again, spoke to you a couple months ago, back in October. So just wanted to provide an update tonight on where we stand with the study. We did submit a draft memo to Robert and to Chief Carroll to review. So after tonight's meeting, really hoping to get more feedback, see if there's anything additional we need to make decisions on, and then we can finalize that memorandum. So it's still in a draft format right now, but it is a complete memorandum. So for those of you who weren't here or don't remember from our last presentation, I thought I'd just run through quickly about speed limit reduction and the principles behind it, and then we can get into the specific project. So again, just a reminder, New York State passed a law, changed legislation in 2021, allowing cities and villages and suburban towns to modify their speed limit, modify their speed limits on their own from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. And that is on town-owned roads, so that excludes state and county roads. And in order to do so, they have to have, that town has to have a certified professional engineer sign off on a memorandum. So that's why we're here today. Why are we lowering speeds? Really, at the heart of it is safety. So vehicles traveling at lower speeds have lower impact on pedestrians during collisions, so drastically reducing the impact and the type of impact. So lowering injury types or even fatalities depending on how much lower those speeds are. So it really is critical to lower those speeds, and we're seeing that reducing the 85th percentile speed, which I'll get into shortly, by up to 3 miles per hour can really adjust and kind of improve those collisions and potential, and it also provides an overall comfort and quality of life. So really just people wanting to be out walking, biking, enjoying meals, whatever they want to do, kind of retailing through these areas and neighborhoods. It's just a better quality of life to have cars driving at lower speeds. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. There isn't one handbook on how to reduce speed. So we look at a number of different documents. Specifically for this study, we're looking at the MUTCD, that's the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It's a federal highway standard that governs many different things, ranging from the width of your travel lanes to the type of sign that you have, where it's located, but it also does speak to speeds. And one of the things that the MUTCD points to is 85th percentile speed, which again, I'll explain what that is shortly, and how that posting the speed limit of a road should be within 5 miles per hour of the 85th percentile speed. But it also talks to desired outcome and including other principles like land use, crashes, and overall comfort and well-being, and how that, and it describes that of how speeds can relate to that. We also look at New York State guidelines There's a New York State supplement to the MUTCD, and there's a traffic safety and mobility instruction sheet that all guide how we set speeds. And really what we're trying to do is consider the roadway context and determine speeds based on, like I said, 85th percentile speed, floating vehicle check. There's a tool called US Limits too, which is a federal highway-based tool. It's free online. You can go on yourselves and test out, kind of type in the different conditions of a road, and it spits out what recommended speed is. It is heavily focused on the 85th percentile speed, so it's not something we necessarily want to rely on, but it's a great tool just to see kind of where we stand with the roads. So there's a lot of text here, but I'll just highlight a few things about 85th percentile speed. So this is the speed at or below which 85% of drivers are traveling under ideal condition. And that really tells us what a safe and reasonable speed is for the majority of drivers. And we're seeing that drivers will generally feel that they can drive at a speed based on their surrounding roadway, surface condition, regardless of the speed limit. So again, just looking at a speed sign, if cars are feeling like they can drive faster based on the roadway condition, they will. Same with slower. You have a lot of curves in this town. People need to navigate those a little bit slower, so they may be driving under the current speed limit. We're also seeing issues when there's a variability in speeds. So I'll get into this in the next few slides, but when you have a posted speed limit and you have people feeling comfortable driving much higher than that or much slower than that, that's where you can get some collision impact where people, again, are anticipating someone driving slower or faster, and there's a greater differential. That's what we're trying to avoid by setting these speed limits. So just to show you an example, this is a 4-lane road, no sidewalks, no houses, wide travel lanes, a little bit of a shoulder, trees kind of off from the side of the road. This is posted at 30 miles per hour. I assume we would all probably drive faster, unless Chief Carroll was out. That we would drive faster than 30 miles per hour on this road. So again, talking about context and how people are feeling if we were to take data collection of this road, we'd see speeds much higher than 30 miles per hour. This next screenshot shows you a very similar 4-lane corridor, but no shoulders. Lanes look a little bit more narrow. There's sidewalk. There's trees up close to the road. There's houses and driveways. This is also posted at 30, and with the curbing, you may feel that you want to drive closer to 30, knowing that there's people out walking, biking, pulling in and out of their driveways, and some sightline issues. And lastly, this is a one-way road, parking on both sides, narrow lane, actually no striping at all, sidewalks, trees right up, houses right up close to the road. This is posted at 30, but I could probably bet that we would all drive much slower than 30 down this corridor. So again, when we talk about the context of the road, it makes putting up a speed limit sign a little bit challenging depending on where you are along the corridor and what's on the side of those roads. So we'll move into the project. Specifically, we studied your full town, the full town of Newcastle. And what we first did is look at roadway jurisdiction. So I do apologize. Some of you have black and white printed. My color ink ran out, but I will make sure these slides are shared and you can kind of zoom in and
Yeah, because I think actually the
closer, 'cause you lose
copies
the-
missed every other page.
some of them were pulled out just because of the presentation.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll get the full slides in digital format. It'll be easier to zoom in.
Okay, thank you.
So what we tried to do is kind of take a look at the full town. We couldn't look at every single corridor in the town, so we tried to make our best guess and kind of analysis, which is that any local road that we could study, we're gonna assume and kind of start backwards that they are suitable for 25 miles per hour. And by doing that, we're able to look at certain areas where there's entrances into neighborhoods. There's maybe not collector roads, they're more local roads that just bring people to their residences or to a commercial area without being a collector arterial where cars are actually trying to get from one place to another, passing through these areas. So if you can see on this map, the lighter red areas are the local roads that we are considering suitable for 25 miles per hour. And in the memo we submitted, we also provided the list of current roads that are posted at 25 miles per hour. So you'll see a lot of overlap there with some of these streets. Again, we did exclude any state or county road, so we did note them here and kind of mark them so you can get an idea of where they are, but we do not have the ability to change those speeds on those roads. So what we then did is look at 19 corridors where we wanted to investigate those further and understand what's happening on those roads now and if those roads are suitable for the speed limit reduction. So you're seeing those in kind of the bolder coloring. They also have a key symbol associated with the table. So as we kind of move forward, you can see the ID matching with the street that was identified. So in order to review these corridors a little bit more detail, we set out and did some data collection. So we got volume and speed data at those 19 locations this past fall. We also had supplemental data from the police department, which showed us some radar data from earlier in that year or the end of 2024. We also performed a field visit in the fall where we actually went out and drove the corridors and took notes down, and also wanted to really feel what it was like to drive at the speeds that other cars were driving at or what we thought the road should be posted at. And then we also pulled data from GIS, so looking at crash data from DOT, land use data, and using functional classification codes. And that really is, again, to help us identify which corridors to focus in on.
The functional classification codes?
Yep, so functional classification codes, I'll back up one slide, thank you. So federal highway sets different codes for different types of streets. And so, and New York State does as well. So local roads, arterials, collectors, those are all different identifying terms for different roads. And they all get different treatments and help with something called design criteria. So when we're designing roads, travel lane widths, horizontal curves, sight distance, that's all based on that functional classification. So what we did for this project is, again, look at all the town local roads, specifically, the ones that are classified as local roads.
Okay.
Volume data, again, just a sample set to kind of understand how many vehicles are traveling along the corridor. Not as critical when we're trying to identify speeds, but just a good data set to know where the higher utilized roads are. Speed data is what we're gonna focus on the most of this. Again, I'm gonna have to resubmit this graphic. Some of the coloring got switched up a little bit, but what you're seeing here is that any red or orange corridor is where we collected speed data where 85th percentile speeds were greater than 35 miles per hour. And that's our indicator based on, again, that MUTCD for posting speeds within 5 miles per hour of the 85th percentile speed. So we're really trying to look at when cars are driving more than 35 miles per hour, if we were to post the speed at 25, we'd only really see a 5 mile per hour reduction in those cars. So those are concerning corridors for us where, again, there's higher speeds over 35. The green corridors are where we're seeing speeds less than 35 miles per hour. So we're gonna automatically exclude those. Those are gonna be good for the reduction. Actually, they're less than 30 miles per hour. So those are gonna be good to be able to reduce to 25. And then that in between is the yellow corridors. Those are corridors that have 30 to 35 mile per hour, 85th percentile speeds. Again, a little bit more research needs to be done here. What can we do with these corridors besides just looking at 85th percentile speed? And I have a table coming up soon that'll go through this a little bit further.
So to summarize, roads that are red are roads where 85% of drivers are going over 35 miles
Yes.
per hour, and therefore, in your expert opinion, reducing to 25 is not going to be a safety measure. It actually would be riskier to lower the
Yes.
speed to 25.
Yep, that's a great way to explain it, yes. Just by posting speed, there's other measures we can talk about
We're gonna
later,
talk
but yes,
about,
just
but
posting a speed.
That alone is not gonna have the intended effect.
Right, and it could actually create more problems.
And can you repeat what the orange is again? The orange somehow didn't come out in my copy and I can't quite see.
I know,
What is the
so the
what are
orange
the numbers for the orange?
is red and orange are speeds greater than 35. So red's actually where we're seeing speeds greater than 40 miles per hour, and orange is greater than 35. So I'm gonna pull up
Okay, so you have them marked as the same basically, but red is higher speed.
yes,
Okay.
red is the highest, so again, we just have to revise our legend, but I tried to change it up on the screen here, so red and orange are above 35. Yellow is between 30 and 35, green is below 30. And so if we look at this next table, again, I know it's a lot of text to see on a screen, hopefully you can see it on your printouts. But this is just a summary of all that speed data and volume data we collected. I think that this is a good indication of also pulling in some of the police data and seeing where there was radar data versus the ATR data. Those are the tubes that we placed. And that's how we collected our speed data. So you can see on a couple corridors like Douglas and Roaring Brook, there's a little bit of a differential there from the radar data versus the ATR data, which we can dive into in a little bit more time. But again, this was really our focus is let's start with these 19 corridors. Let's look at the existing speeds. And then how do we break that down further? So what we then did, we looked at land use overall in the town and really just tried to overlay the corridors onto the land use, your current land use map, and just get a bigger picture for where people are making multimodal connections, where people are trying to end up as a destination, and how does that factor into, again, setting speeds and providing a more comfortable and safe environment for people. We also looked at crash history. So at our last presentation here, we had a lot more red on this map because we were pulling in the state corridors. So we pulled that off, and now you're just seeing a heat map of where there's a higher concentration of crashes in the town. This was from 2020 to 2024, this data. And I highlighted in yellow in the table a few corridors that we are looking at here where we're having 2 or more crashes in that 5-year span. So I don't have crash rates on here, but it just gives you an idea of where there are identified crashes on this map. And again, the heat map, the kind of red, yellow, orange areas, a higher concentration, a higher number of crashes versus that kind of lower blue color heat area. And then again, if you get this digitally, you can zoom in and see a little black dot, and that shows you exactly where that crash occurred on the corridor.
Does a crash always include more than one car? Or, I mean, is there a distinction to be made between whether there are 2 cars involved or one?
So we have the ability to identify if it was a multi-vehicle collision or a crash with like a pedestrian or a cyclist or like a run off the road or a tree or animal obstruction. So we have all that data. So this is just total number of crashes regardless of
I mean, the reason
the
I'm
number of vehicle.
asking, because you know, it looks like the big crash sites are at intersections, which might not have to do with speeding. It might have to do with confusion at the intersection or something. And I guess I'm just wondering, you know, since we're talking about speed today.
Yeah, so it's just a factor to look at. We're pulling the data for the entire town. So the goal of this, or kind of the reason for looking at crash data, is to see if any of these hot areas are along any of the corridors. And then we can kind of zoom in there and see if any are related to speed, people traveling at high speeds. So,
If I may,
yeah, go ahead.
to me, it looks like you pulled out the Taconic, but it doesn't look like you pulled out the Sawmill. Cause I think those, where you are, those hotspots are Sawmill.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, I can look at that.
And also at Roaring Brook Road, so maybe we can check to confirm that.
Yeah, it looks like,
So that's what those 2 are concentrated on, I believe.
let me, I'll check on that. It looks like there's a lot of dots on here on the Roaring Brook to Reader's Digest. So I can check on that for just the
Also
heat
close
part
to a high
itself.
school. Looks like on either end of Douglas Road, we have some hotspots.
That Douglas Road one, Chief is saying is where the Sawmill is.
But where it hits
So is
Hard
that-
Scrabble Road, there's a
Well,
little.
that's,
Yeah.
we talked about that in,
That
I don't think
confusing
you were,
intersection.
yeah, we
no, I
talked
was
about
there.
that
Holly
earlier,
wasn't.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I also
Yeah.
think Sarah said that if the yellow ones had more than 2 accidents in the 5-year period, right? So Douglas doesn't count, so there's Crow Hill, there's Croton Lake, so the yellow ones are indicating more than 2 accidents in a 5-year period.
Yeah, I'd be interested in a zoom into the little dots because the accidents don't look like they're in one particular spot.
Correct.
Or more likely to be in an area of that road. They seem to be almost evenly distributed. But I
So
can't-
it's
it's hard to-
it's
it's hard to
GIS,
tell.
yeah, again, it'll be helpful when you can see this more zoomed in. I don't think I can zoom in on PowerPoint unfortunately, but the specific black dot that you'll see is a GIS located point based on where that police data pinpointed it. So those are very specific to where the crashes occurred. The heat map itself is just a GIS tool that we can go back and clean up and make sure it makes sense. I think if you look at like the top right of your screen, if you look at like Croton Lake Road, I think that's where the heat map is helpful and you're just seeing like the higher frequency of crashes in that area.
Do you have any data that suggests like how these benchmark against similar roads in other towns? Like is this, when we look at a road, like I'm looking at Douglas and we see the number of accidents that have occurred in that area, would we be able to compare that to other roads in Westchester, other roads that you guys have worked on that's
I can do that,
necessarily
yeah,
spanned
absolutely. I don't have that data right now, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to take a look at that.
Yeah, it'd be great to understand like, hey, is that, it might look red here in our heat map, but would it look red in another town?
Yeah.
Is this actually
Yeah, and a good way to
lower
look at
rise?
that too is comparing it to the total vehicle volume
Sure.
for the day, and that's how we look at crash rate. So looking at the number of crashes in comparison to the segment length in comparison to the total number of vehicles gives you an overall rate, average rate of crashes. So that's another indicator of a higher or lower crash location.
Right.
Yep, so we can certainly provide that data.
How do you determine how a road is similar? Because Douglas, for instance, is a connector road off a highway, very residential,
No sidewalk.
leading to another connector road, no sidewalks. I mean, I just wonder if each road is unique enough to make it difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at crash rate is the first way to break that down. So looking at the functional classification of a road and seeing if that's a comparison. It'd be very data driven. So it would be kind of a high level comparison compared to really drilling down and understanding that specific corridor. And again, crash data is an indicator and kind of a helpful tool for us to recommend speeds, but reducing speeds aren't going to, just reducing the speed isn't going to directly correlate to some of these crashes and what's happening. So if you're seeing a lot of run off the roads, if you're seeing a lot of head-ons and some of these more narrow roads where people are winding, that's to me more important to look at areas where we need to reduce speed than the actual number of crashes. It's more the type.
Question about this heat map. So the blue ones are fewer crashes. Does that mean that the areas that have no color have no crashes reported? Like what does fewer mean?
Yeah, and I don't have that range in front of me just because that's the GIS tool is
Yeah.
kind of comparing.
But it's
but-
not zero.
But like if you look at 4 Shingle House Road, there's no heat map around there. There's no crashes that we have reported or documented.
Okay, so if there's no color at all, there have been
There's no crash
none.
data
But even once
available.
there's blue, that means that we're seeing accidents.
But we're seeing at least one
at
accident,
least one.
at least one in the 5 years. So I'd say your fewer's 1 to 2 and your more, I think we're up to like 11 crashes in the 5-year span.
And
So
you're gonna
that's-
take out the Sawmill Parkway.
Yes.
I just wanted to point something out. The crash data on this map here was drawn from a period of time where a lot of the COVID restrictions were in place, and which might affect not only volume but also patterns. So I don't know if that's something that you would recommend doing a follow-up or any additional data.
Yeah, we historically with COVID and traffic data, we were looking at pre-COVID activities, post-COVID activities, and seeing that there was actually a change, not as much of a change as we'd expect. I can go back and look at our more current crash data, but at the time of pulling this earlier this fall, this was the latest crash data.
Yeah, that was just for the
Available.
benefit of the board to keep in
Yeah,
mind.
I mean, maybe if you're looking at the rate, you may wanna exclude 2020
Mhm.
in particular, because
Yeah, we could also
We're
pull it to a
going
3-year
anywhere.
range and look at 2022 to 2024. So yeah, we can provide a little bit more background on that. We'll provide in our memorandum an appendix that has the crashes like a crash summary, so you can see the types of crashes overall in the town. Again, my only reluctance with that is then you don't get to see the specific corridor of where it's happening. So we're trying to, again, balance looking at this town-wide versus looking at it specifically in certain areas. So I think these areas that we have questions on still, like Douglas, that's good, that'll be a good place to drill down and really understand more what's happening.
I think, the Reader's Digest Road and the Roaring Brook Road, they're kind of a complicated area because the Sawmill Parkway splits them.
Right.
But like I said, there's a high school and a big shopping center.
Yeah.
And it's kind of narrow and there might be just a lot going on there.
It was very surprising to me to see that road and then see how many vehicles are traveling on that road in a day.
But you take into account the features of that road, I mean, it's a major highway, it's a major, corridor. And there's a Whole Foods there which attracts people
Right.
from out of town to go shopping because it's conveniently located off the highway.
Are we talking
There is
about
an
Roaring
increase of residences there are over 90 residential units within that area.
And those are recent additions too, so.
So there's a lot of density there that you don't see in the rest of the town.
And a lot of high school age drivers
High school drivers,
crossing on major.
not just high school drivers, but parents driving their students to and from school. There's a major medical center there. I don't know how many square feet, but it's a huge medical center. So obviously people driving there for appointments, doctors, PT appointments. So
So-
yeah, it's commercial,
Understanding all that,
residential.
we are recommending that those two streets be reduced to 25. Does understanding that, desired destination, does that, do you agree with that 25?
I would agree, I
Roaring
mean,
Brook's already 25.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're not
there's
agreeing- we're not
there's a
agreeing with
school,
raising.
we're concerned about the students and
So slowing cars down there is,
slowing cars. And just for
Important.
context, going into the future, we're building a multi-use trailway that will be recreational for pedestrians and bikers. So there'll be people walking along there, so I think it's very important to create a safe, if we
Absolutely.
can reduce the speed
Absolutely.
limit, that would be.
I think just
Important.
understanding more that stretch across there is kind of important, cause if it's already at 25,
It's already at the minimum.
what are people driving there?
We can't go lower than
Right.
25.
so I can tell you that.
There's something else we should be doing.
So I mean,
So
we're
lowering-
going to learn about speed calming measures as well.
Yeah.
So
That's the next step.
Reader's Digest, again, you're seeing over 12,000 vehicles per day on that corridor. I just have it up here on the table. And it's posted at 25 currently, so we are not recommending changing that. And you're seeing current 85th percentile speed at 33. So that is consistent with what you're getting right now with that posted speed. And there isn't anything we can do with this study other than traffic calming recommendations on that corridor
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
slow
getting
that
at,
85th percentile.
in addition to the
Yep.
25 mile
But
per
you-
hour, yeah.
You're saying with Reader's Digest, it's the 85th percentile is 33.
Correct.
It's already at 25, so the speed, that's what I'm getting from the heat map too, is like the speed isn't the problem. The problem is there's something wrong at the intersection, that people are crashing in the intersection, which makes sense when you've been there. Like I get that, speed's not the problem with
Yeah, it's
the
a
big,
high
what this
volume
map says is the biggest problem we have here.
Yeah, I was interested in knowing exactly where the crashes are because they may not be at an exact intersection. So that's what's interesting about it, I'm seeing all the little dots beyond the intersection.
Yeah, and I can't see the dots.
The
on mine.
intersection would be the road and the highway, or the road and the entrance to Chappaqua Crossing, for instance.
Oh, they're everywhere.
So they seem to be everywhere. I'm not so sure that it's the intersection.
The intersection's
As
the yellow
opposed
part.
to-
I think that's the
and
most I
there's-
can zoom in.
So
Yeah.
you start getting, when you're getting up here, you're talking about a hill, I'm not gonna point at the screen for you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
but I don't think,
We know that, yeah.
I don't know that it's
I guess if you think about that intersection, right, how many vehicles are backed up based upon the intersection of the Sawmill? And I think most of those numbers are with them, people waiting for the light or involved in the light or involved in the intersection. You know, we're not talking about major traveling on Roaring Brook Road with, you know, a ton of accidents or on Reader's Digest. It really is more confined to that. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
also
saying
for
we
your
shouldn't consider
information,
traffic calming, but
oh, sorry.
It's a little frightening considering there's a train track
I was just gonna
there.
say, there is a
So many
railway
fender benders
crossing.
there and the train goes there.
It's an on-grade
God.
railroad crossing,
Yeah.
which adds to the total chaos,
we
frankly.
had a press conference with a state senator, a United States senator about having
10 years ago.
Having a
crossing, yeah.
bridge,
Yeah.
oh my god, that is so scary.
We're supposed to have an overpass, but
One day,
I don't know if that
maybe.
will ever happen.
In this location.
Hopefully, yes.
And again, what we can do with this study is, again, we're not recommending changing speeds, you already posted at 25 here, we can recommend traffic calming, we can highlight this crash information, so you can still use this as a tool to make future recommendations or kind of go to the state and say, look, we're seeing a problem here, what are you gonna do about it?
Right, okay. Yeah,
We try.
Yeah, there was over 200
but all we can do is
accidents at that intersection alone in a 5-year period.
yeah, traffic calming is I think the next step there.
How serious are those crashes, Chief?
You know, every end of the spectrum.
You guys have that data about how serious the crashes are?
Yeah, so we the way that we get the data, it's a property damage, injury, fatality. So we noted in red dots where there's a serious injury crash, and then all the black dots are other crashes. So in that period of time, we did not see fatalities, but the serious injuries are highlighted in that red dot. So you can see, again, if I zoom back in to Roaring Brook, there was a serious injury next to this 3 bubble.
That's away from the intersection. Or is that where you go into from
That's up.
Roaring Brook to Route 120?
No,
That sharp
no, it's not.
turn
And there are some dots
That's
on here
into
outside of
for
the,
residents?
Like where
Study
Hunting Ridge
corridors.
Road is
That's
or
what I was
In that
thinking, it looks
area?
like Hunting Ridge.
Yeah,
Or Cary Road?
I think it's more Cary Hunting Ridge area.
yeah. Do we have this map with all the dots and the colors and whatnot? Do we have?
it's hard to see in your
have it? You have it
Print out.
black and white?
I mean, I have it
It's-
black and white, but do we
I
have it
have-
with all the dots and
Yeah,
everything?
She's gonna send it electronically.
Okay.
then you can zoom in and
'Cause
I'll
I
send you the
really
actual PDF so you can
kinda
zoom in
wanna
and
see
look.
that,
If you're are you interested in like a web map too? Cause we could provide a link to a online map where you could zoom in and look at it too. Would that be helpful?
I mean, I would love a lot of detail on this particular item.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go back. I'm not a GIS person, but I will go back to our team and see if we can provide a quick web map where you could click a point and get more information on it. I don't wanna commit to that, but I will ask the question.
Okay.
And at a minimum, I will make sure you get this PDF where you can zoom in and look at it closer.
Thanks.
Get this back up. So again, just a quick summary on the crashes. I think we've discussed this, but again, this is where you can see the comparison of the number of crashes to the average daily traffic. So seeing 11 crashes on Campfire on a 700 vehicle per day corridor is a bigger difference than seeing 3 crashes on Crow Hill Road with over 3,000 vehicles. Understanding there's still crashes, but it's a much higher rate of crashes on a corridor like Campfire.
That's a
Camp-
narrow winding one.
Campfire is like a road just for one car that is two-way traffic. Like it's a ridiculous road.
So's Roaring Brook.
In theory, you have your own traffic calming going already with that, where people should be.
Yeah, that's true.
But
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. Roaring
you
Brook's
can be
traffic
driving
calming
on
its own.
Campfire and really, like someone can just come around and not be on a side of the, you know.
And they could be weather related, they could be, you know, it doesn't have to just be speed, right? There's a bunch of factors.
I guess that a lot of these happen at night. Do you have streetlights on that road?
No.
Is that a different can of worms I won't open? Okay, so just kind of pulling back to those 19 corridors, again, this table summarizes the different speeds. I think we've talked at that at length of the 85th percentile speed. So then, again, we were pulling out speeds that are greater than 35. Those are corridors that we just do not feel are appropriate to be reduced to 25 based on 85th percentile speeds alone. So let's look at it a little bit further, see what we can investigate. But initially, again, going back, of the 19 corridors we looked at closely, we're removing the ones where speeds are below 35 miles per hour. We feel that those are good to be reduced to 25. So our next level of looking is which corridors of those 85th percentile over 35 are currently posted at 25. And I think that's where it's an interesting thing to look at. If you look at like number 5, Crow Hill Road, you're seeing 85th percentile speeds over 35, but currently posted at 25. Again, we are not recommending changing any of the current corridors that are posted at 25. So the next step is let's pull those corridors out. Now
I'm
we're left.
surprised it's that high on that road.
And it's all, unfortunately, the way that the data's collected, it is very, one specific location, and we'll talk about this with Douglas, but those tubes are in one spot, so we may have caught it at a place where people are coming down a hill or on a more narrow straightaway. So where you're seeing, they can pick up those speeds.
So I think ultimately, what I think is important here is, you know, out of every town road, right, just the ones that are already 25, there's only 9 that we're recommending at this point, maybe 10, that we're saying that should be above 9.5, above 25.
Right.
So I think we're really accomplishing, you know, the town's goal at this, or the board's goal.
So just back to Campfire, which had a lot of crashes on it, but the 85th percentile speed is 39 and its current speed limit is 30.
Yep.
Like the crash data, does that influence, like, cause if the 85th percentile is 39, that would mean you'd probably recommend keeping it at 30, but if there's that many crashes happening there.
That's a great opportunity for us to look at the specific crash types and what countermeasures there are for that and make some recommendations for geometric improvements, intersection improvements, other items besides changing that speed. Because if we're going from people are driving at 39 to 25, we already know we have a high number of crashes. The concern is creating more of a challenge there because now you have people continuing to drive 39 because they feel like they can,
Right.
and the people who are driving 25 because that's the speed limit.
Right.
And so now that differential is even bigger. So again, that's an area, yes, where we can drill into that crash data a little bit more and understand what's happening there, but the change in speed alone won't be enough to reduce those
I agree, it's
crashes.
the contributing factors that we really need to look at, cause the area those accidents are, it's harder to go much more than 25, but by the Taconic, 40 could be, you know, the speed limit there, right, that's stretched by the Taconic. And then through the S curves, you know, nobody's speeding during that, okay, it's 2 different roads.
It
So
really
Yeah.
crash down is really what we need to look at.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we can, I think what would be helpful is to have a summary of these final 9
Yeah.
and have specific crash information for each of those. I think that would be helpful, instead of townwide summarizing it. So I'll just take it another step further. So again, we're pulling out all the corridors that are currently posted at 25. And now we're looking at pace cars. So we went out and we drove these corridors and we made notes, which we're attaching again to our memorandum on how those corridors felt driving. And this pace car is a good indication of how other people are driving on the road. So it's not just an instantaneous moment of data, it's following the leader. What are other cars driving? And so based on that information, we pulled out one corridor, Croton Lake Road, where we felt that was a more consistent road with 25 miles per hour. And so that leaves us to a final list of 9, asterisk 10, where we are recommending a village-wide speed limit of 25 miles per hour with categorical exclusions. And this is a list of the 9 corridors where we feel that just based on all the data that we've collected, all the analysis that we've done, those corridors shouldn't be reduced without additional traffic calming in future studies.
A few of them are out in the West End, huh?
Yeah, and so this is a map of those recommendations. summarize totally. I will, again, you'll get this so you can look at it a little bit closer. But just gives you an overall picture of corridors that we're recommending changing, corridors that we're recommending not changing, and ones that we did further analysis on. So we'll get this, I wanna make this pop a little bit more so you can really identify which ones
We're gonna be great.
aren't going to be changed. Yeah, I can see it great on my screen, but yeah, we'll get that bolded a little bit more for you. And so I know, you know, our next steps really with this is once we all agree on the corridors with those categorical exclusions, we can finalize our memo, attach all the documentation to it, and share it with you. And your next steps, what we're outlining in that memo, what your next steps are, which would be to, as a board, if you agree with it, pass the law changing your speed limit, and then modify your code, which currently has a list of 25-mile-per-hour corridors, would end up being flipped. So your the recommendation would be that your town pass the 25-mile-per-hour zone area speed limit with the exception of select corridors. From there, we can work with you to do an inventory of all of the existing speed signs in the town that are 30 miles per hour that would need to be reduced or changed to 25, and then make recommendations for how to replace those signs, whether that's with your internal forces or if you hire a contractor to do it. We've seen that in two different capacities.
Is there anything that has to do with the placement of the speed limit signs?
Yes, yep, so that MUTCD governs that, and where you're seeing kind of the high level recommendation of that is any time that you're entering the town, so crossing a border, you identify what the speed is, so you'll end up saying like townwide speed limit, 25 miles per hour, except where noted, or except as noted, and so that's why all the streets should be assumed at 25 unless they're posted at 30 or whatever the state or county roads are posted at.
But almost every way into the town is a state or county road, right? No? Maybe that's just the way I come in and out of town.
And that's where we'd work with the state or county on modifying those signs, because if it currently says townwide speed 30, we'd want that changed to townwide 25. And then on every street where you're entering into a neighborhood coming off of a street that isn't 25, we'd want to make sure people know that that street is 25. There's also spacing guidances based on where you're transitioning zones, if you're near a school zone. It's all based on the speed limit. There's a calculation for where those signs should be placed before and after intersections. So all that is clearly written out in the MUTCD and pretty easy to apply once we know where all the signs are.
Thank you.
Do you ever make recommendations for educational measures with the public, PSAs?
Yeah, we absolutely can help with that. I don't have examples cited here, but that's certainly something we can help put graphics together and kind of help share that information about why you should be driving slower.
Right,
I think
just
that
so that
education
people
enforcement,
have that
education.
awareness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because once we lower the speed limits and we do, you know, we perform all the next steps, signs, other traffic calming measures, I mean, I think traffic calming measures will have an impact because obviously that's a physical improvement to the roadways, right? But I think that awareness is so important as well, so I
agree.
think we need a public awareness campaign and you know, an effective way to communicate would be it would be helpful.
Yeah, I can provide some examples from other municipalities we've worked in, or even ones that we haven't. There's a organization that's posting information for speed limit reduction projects all across New York State, so that's a good resource too. So I can point you to some areas with
Okay, that would be a good next step.
Yeah.
To put in
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. So I just wanted to touch on traffic calming. I know at the last meeting, we talked about some solutions that may or may not work in the town, and I think the first and kind of the most straightforward was the speed feedback signs. So putting up your speed is signs that flash. There is proof that those signs help reduce speeds as long as they are permanent. So there's also studies that show as soon as those signs are removed, that people go back to traveling those speeds they were traveling before. So I think in some of these areas, it would be great to put some of these dynamic feedback signs out and just let people know what's happening, and enforcement always helps back that up. There's also a few other traffic calming ideas I had. I don't have specific locations in mind for these, but I think that they could work in some areas. So the first on the top left, lateral shift or striping change. So the easiest kind of solution, striping change, is narrowing travel lanes. So where you have maybe a 12 or 13 foot travel lane, you can reduce it to 10, 11. It's an option. Shaking your
You're
head.
limited.
They're already glorified cow
They're already
paths, so-
small,
Yeah.
but there's some areas.
Yes.
The lateral shift or striping change, or lateral shift, again, your roads are narrow. I don't know that you necessarily have room for this, but there is the ability to kind of push vehicles to not be driving in such a straight line. Again, I think the geometry and kind of the way that your town roads work already, you have so much curvature, that is a natural shift already.
Yeah, people are experts now at
Yeah.
going around those
True.
curves.
Yeah, I think, again, I know you probably don't wanna go crazy with signs, but I think some curve advisory signs would be helpful in some of these areas, potentially. I don't know if the lighting is a hot topic, but if some of these crashes are happening on curves where there's narrow lanes at night, there could be kind of some issues there with visibility, lighting. Again, I know you're not gonna wanna go out and start clearing trees, but there's also clear zone options where you give people better sight lines around those curves. In some areas, it may be helpful to put in some vertical measures to slow people down, looking at speed cushions or raised intersections. Just, I've put up a couple examples of what those could look like here. I know, again, that's another hot topic with enforcement, first responders, fire trucks. They kind of, we're seeing that different response to that in different municipalities.
Is there a difference between a speed cushion and a speed bump?
So a speed cushion is a wider, shorter span.
It's less,
And there's the
of
spacing
a
in
bump.
between, which helps one with fire truck navigation through, so they don't have to slow down to go over the speed hump. And it's also better for cyclists, so they can go through those pockets. Whereas a speed bump is a shorter width, but more vertical. So you really are slowing your vehicle down to go over. So on a lot of our cities and towns we're working with, we're seeing that in 25 mile per hour areas, those speed cushions are helpful and working well. And again, raised intersection in an area where you're seeing a high pedestrian crossing. I think pedestrian treatments in general, you're talking about a multi-use path, looking at mid-block crossings, making sure that you have adequate signage for that, and striping, kind of lighting. But the raised intersection will also gradually slow vehicles down, but again is a little bit more palatable for the first responders because it's a wider span of how you're getting over that vertical change. But that does put pedestrians at a higher elevation and kind of makes them a little bit more visible, in addition to slowing cars down as they're going through an intersection. So there may be some areas where that's appropriate, understanding that that's not the case with all the corridors, but
Sarah, is there a thought that by lowering the town speed limit to 25, even though we're exempting those 9 roads, that we would still see kind of a reduction in the 85th percentile? Because I guess people's habits would be that we're driving 25 everywhere else, and now our habit is to drive slower on those roads?
it's definitely possible, especially given the way that your town is configured. I would maybe say differently if you were more of like a grid-like system where people were kind of sick of driving 25 on this road, I'm gonna go this road and go faster. I don't know that you necessarily would see that here, so that's certainly possible. One of the recommendations I have in our memo is about coming back and doing a follow-up speed study later. Once the speed has changed, the signs are up, people are traveling around, getting used to those speeds, then come back and relook at those 9 corridors and see if we can get those speeds down.
How long does it typically take to go from making the decision on what to change to actually getting them all changed over?
So I'm working with the town right now. I wanna say they passed their law probably in the fall, and we've been working with them on their GIS mapping and new sign implementation, so they're, I think, hoping by the time the weather breaks in the spring, their highway crew can go out and switch the signs out. So 6 months? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think identifying all the existing signs is probably the most time consuming part. Getting a good feel for where all the signs are.
And when will we get the memo?
What's that?
When will we get the memo?
So there's a draft memo out for review now. I think we have some modifications to make to that.
Right, you and I have a further discussion as we've
Yeah,
talked about
I don't know if you wanna
over
talk about that
over
now.
Douglas, we spoke about this earlier, so we're gonna collaborate on that road as well. Maybe can get together and come out and look at the locations where they were, and maybe have them do an ATR at a different location, but we're gonna discuss that one in road as well.
Yeah, so Douglas is our question mark right now of the speed differentials on that road and what makes sense there. So we need a little bit more investigation there, but then I'll let you decide how you wanna get that memo out
We'll get it to the board.
to the group. But I will definitely share these figures right after this meeting, so you can take a look at those. Just understanding that they're draft form still, the recommendations are still being finalized.
Okay.
Well, what do we think? End of February, like how?
I think in February solid.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. If we can
Everything else
get
is
that
ready, I
data,
think,
quick.
everything else we good to go
Everything else is
except
ready.
for that, yeah,
It's just Douglas
Yeah,
at
so
this
hopefully
point.
we could schedule this by
great.
well, at the latest, the last meeting in February. I think we have 2 meetings in
Yeah,
February.
10th and 24th in February.
Yeah. So how long do you think you need to
I think, I think it's more Sarah's schedule than mine.
So we can get the data, we can get this conversation going. It's just a matter of what you want at that next meeting. Do you want them to have that final memo already reviewed by the next meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
That
I
would be
think you would
most
give the
helpful.
memo
I
to
think if
them
we
in
can get
advance of the
together, get it
meeting.
done, make a recommendation.
would be
to the
something
board.
good that we can approve.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So,
Well, I think approve, we would probably, it's a change in the law, Mike, right? So we would end up setting a public hearing for that, correct?
Right.
Well, approve in substance, maybe not in
Right,
form,
so I
but
mean,
we need the
if we
legislation,
get the
obviously.
memo, then we can look to set a public hearing on the 24th of February, correct?
Yeah, sure.
cause I was gonna say, the other option is we can call it a draft final. You can have it, review it, and then whenever you're ready to pass that change, we can finalize it at the end.
But I
once it's
think what we're
approved.
talking about is your report, which would be a final report that we would all be agreed on in substance. And the next step is then to put the legislation in place. So that's a whole different process. I don't know that. You know, I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about Sarah's report, final report back to us,
Okay.
which could be in February, and then either Mike, you or Lino would write the legislation for us. Then we would look at that and then put it for public hearing.
Right.
But that's a separate process from your side of it.
If we
That's-
work together, you think we can get the final member done by the 24th?
Yeah, but I'm thinking we want it earlier, so they have time to review
Yeah,
it.
we would.
Yeah.
So with enough time to, maybe 2 weeks before, so you have enough time to review it.
Yeah,
That would be great, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank
So
you.
let's say February 12th, you'll have it, the final memo
Yeah,
for
that
review.
sounds
okay,
good.
that would be good. Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda.
Great.
And you can make it?
I will check my calendar once I stop sharing my screen.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah.
Again, I will follow up with the figures, and then we'll talk about Douglas and go from there.
Okay,
Good. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time. I think I'm out.
All right, so we look forward to seeing you again next
Gonna mess with
month.
that. Yes, let me go check my calendar real quick and I'll
Ah,
confirm for you. But either way, you'll get the memo by the 12th.
Okay,
We'll make sure of that. I wanna make sure you have time to look at it.
okay, so should we wait for Sarah or should we
No, I think we can,
move to the next,
no,
okay,
the administrative items.
go
is
ahead,
fine.
Rob, yeah.
Sure. Not meeting tonight, we have retroactive payment of claims dated January 12th and 26th. We have the adoption of the monthly reports from December of 2025. adoption of minutes from December 2025. We have a street opening permit bond release for 69 Crest Road. We have the authorization to approve the sewer easement agreement with the town of Mount Pleasant. That's for Old Farm Lake Road. Town of Mount Pleasant needs to run a sewer line to connect to the county trunk line. In order to do that, they have to go under our road, so this is the easement agreement for that. We have the authorization to approve the cash maintenance bond for McCash in the amount of $2,500, that's for 2 Meadow Hill Road. We have the authorization to accept new replacement maintenance bond agreements for retail parcel at Chappaqua Crossing. There are 4 different maintenance bonds that are being renewed. There's one for retaining wall, one for wetlands mitigation, one for tree preservation, and one for stormwater. And finally, we have the authorization to settle the 23 through should read 25 tax certiorari proceedings for 46 Grace Lane.
Is it correct in the resolutions, just so we don't, okay, so just make sure,
It's in the consent agenda.
yeah, just make sure we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, Josh's memo from that we discussed mentions 23 through 25, 3 separate years.
Okay,
Thanks for
Got it.
catching that.
alright, we're all set?
Yep.
That's
all
it,
set for
okay,
administrative items.
Chief, did you get information?
Yeah, so she's definitely good with the memo on the 12th. The 24th doesn't look great, but if there's questions or you need somebody, they will send another representative on the 24th.
That's fine,
So I said I thought it would be fine.
okay, that's fine, okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for the 24th,
Mhm.
okay. Alright, may I have a motion to adjourn the work session and open the town board meeting?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, for anyone joining us now, we are now terminated our work session and we are at our town board meeting. Rob, are there any announcements?
Christina, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh,
We
thank you.
are in January tax collection month,
Oh, yeah.
so like to remind everybody as often as we can.
Yes. So January 31st is the last day to pay your second half school taxes without penalty. The penalty is steep. We would hope that no one is asked to suffer penalties this year. So if you could please get your payments in, we accept them by mail. If you do send it through US mail, please be sure to witness the postmark at the post office. Don't drop it in the mailbox. Don't put it in your mailbox. Make sure you go to the post office. We do have a drop box here at Town Hall. It's available 24/7. It's right outside the police desk. That's our preferred way that you get it to us if you can't come visit us during normal business hours. We will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on February 2nd.
Okay, thank you, Christina.
Mhm.
Let's see, my supervisor's report, I just want to acknowledge that we had Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday. The town will be observing it along with Black History Month next month. We will be having a program on February 12th at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center at 7 p.m. Sponsored by the Committee on Inclusion and Belonging. It is a screening of an acclaimed documentary called Ain't No Back to a Merry-Go-Round. It's about the 1960 Glen Echo Park sit-in where we had Black, Jewish, and Quaker activists challenging segregation. After the movie, we'll have a moderated discussion by Joyce Shara Cold, who is the village historian in Ossining. And she's also the co-author of an educational guide regarding the film, where she collaborated with the director. So it should be a very interesting program and we encourage everyone to attend. Also before that though, on Tuesday, next Tuesday, January 27th, there will be a commemoration of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, where a Holocaust survivor will present his story. This is Fred Schoenfeld, originally from Slovakia, who's agreed to come and speak with us. This will be a very special opportunity. And we thank the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee for sponsoring that program. They always do a great job, as do all of our committees. So those are the two upcoming programs that I wanted to report on. And I'd like to ask any of the other board members if they have anything else to report on. And I know that Eric had a suggestion for us that you wanted to mention, remember?
Yeah.
You wanna do that now during the supervisor's report? It
Sure,
would be a good time.
absolutely. So as everyone knows, we each board member liaises with a different one of the committees in town. And similar to the administration reports, Vicky and I have been talking about the idea of us providing reports on what's going on with those committees. We've had many of these committees that are doing really tremendous work, and a lot of residents who are doing a lot of great work. So Victoria and I have been speaking about these ideas in relation to these, where we still gotta hammer out the details, whether it's on a quarterly or a twice a year basis. Just reporting on what some of these committees are doing to make sure all of our residents are aware of the fantastic work that people around the town are doing.
Right, and this would be aside from just mentioning the upcoming
Right,
programs,
right.
like a little more
Yeah.
in depth about the goals and achievements and
100%.
where we are. Okay, I think it's a very good idea.
I like it too.
I like it too.
Yes.
Put me on the spot and be like, Eric, that's a dumb idea, we're not going to do that. That would have been really
No, we
embarrassing
talked
for
about
me,
this
yeah.
and I think it's a very good idea because our committees do so much work that goes on in the town and
Yes, they do.
it's letting people know what's going on and also giving them credit for the work that they do. It's, I think it's important for people to be aware, so I think it's a fantastic idea. Thanks for bringing this to us. Okay, let's see, Rob, do you have an administrator's report?
Yeah, I do. Just one thing, I just wanna thank our DPW staff for this weekend. I have to say this season has been extremely challenging so far with the timing of the storms, the duration, the stop and start nature of the storms. It's been really hard to keep track of. Bart's staff was in at 6 on Saturday, not quite sure what time they left. They were back in at 6 on Sunday morning and didn't leave until 4 a.m. Monday morning. So it was challenging, and just wanna thank Bart and his crew for staying on top of it. They reacted, they had comments and feedback from residents, and as far as I saw, got to everything in every area of the town, so we appreciate them definitely.
They do a great job. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, DPW. You do an amazing job as always, so.
I'd also like to, I mean, I completely echo that the DPW and Bart's team have done fantastic. But also our first responders are taxed during events like that as well, so thank you to the police as well as our CVAC and fire crews.
Absolutely.
Okay. And now we have a presentation coming up by a resident, Eric Gelber. I'm assuming that's you.
That's me.
Wanting to make a presentation on a charity event. First of all, I'd like to commend you for sitting here for this long through our exec session, which ran late, and the work session. So kudos to
I
you
learned more
for
about speed reduction in the
you
last
learned a
45
lot
minutes
that you
than
never expected
I would know in a lifetime.
to know about, so I'm already impressed.
And now you know where to drive
And you
slowly
you deserve whatever you request for having to sit through that, but okay, so
The floor is mine.
thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
I can share,
and-
Eric
Yep.
approached Christina and I towards the end of last year with this idea, and came in and sat down with us, and we had an opportunity to walk out and view actually the location with the chief the other day, and we're all on the same page. We thought it was a really cool idea. He'll walk you through what he's been doing for 20 years. And this is just one kind of a newer event that he wants to plan in his hometown. So thought it was a cool idea, wanted to take a few minutes and share it with the board.
Okay, and I haven't heard this yet, so
Okay,
Perfect, thank you. And also Rob, Christina, I know Lauren's on, and Chief Carroll, thanks for your time to this point and for encouraging me to come here and chat with all of you. I think it's important to understand a little bit of the background behind these events that we do. Because and I said this to Rob the first time we were gonna meet, he's like, can you just tell me a little bit about it? I'm like, if I just send you an email about what this is, you're just gonna think I'm crazy and not really fully.
Still think you're a little crazy.
Maybe, that may be true, but just to fully understand it, so, and Lauren's helping me drive, so thanks. Lauren, if we can go to the next screen, that'd be great. But anyway, so my name's Eric Elber, I have been living in Chappaqua since 1998. We have raised our 3 children here. Jared and Kyle have already graduated from Greeley. They have also graduated from college, and they're both chasing their dreams in Colorado and New York City. And then our daughter Isla is a sophomore at Greeley and still deciding which dreams she wants to chase. And then that's our dog Vetter, and of course my wife Tani, who is the glue that keeps it all together. Not just at home, but all these events that we do, and maybe as you learn more about it, you guys will understand what that means. If we can go to the next screen. So we started in, actually those dates are off. It's 2006 and 2007. So 2007 was the first marathon that I ran for the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. I started in 2006 training for that run, so this September will be 20 years that we've been doing all of these things, and we have now done over 40 events, which include marathons, ultramarathons, Ironman. We have hosted numerous other events where other people come and run relays or play tennis tournaments and that kind of stuff, and I'm not gonna go through all those, but I'll highlight a few just so you can understand the scale of what we do. If we can go to the next one, Lauren, thanks. So the first big event we did in 2011, this was a solo run that I did. We called it the Catskill 155. It was 155 miles, and I ran from my friend's house in Oneonta, New York, to my parents' house in Suffern, New York. That was, I don't remember, it was a little over 2 days to do that. And then the next couple of big events we did, I think it's Badwater. So I ran the Badwater 135 2 times. That's a 135 mile continuous run in the Mojave Desert. It's Death Valley, California, and it's in July when the temperature is gonna be 130 degrees.
You had to do July?
That's, the whole point is that's considered one of the toughest foot races in the world. There's a few, but that's one of them. And then in 2016, I ran, after 2 failed attempts in 2013 and 2014, I successfully ran 200 miles in Central Park in 60 hours. That's 33 loops around the park. And then I think the last one is the row, so then 5 years after that, so you'll kind of see a theme here. It's started in 6, 11, 16, and now 21. Will be the 20-year anniversary. So I went back 5 years later at Engineers Gate, and I rode on a stationary rower 200 miles, and that was about 53 hours.
Do you take breaks, or is it straight through?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll sit down. I took during the run, I took 5 like 20-minute naps. Here, there were a few little naps, but I would row a few thousand meters, stand up. Your butt gets.
It's a long time to be
It's a
on the
long time to
rower.
be sitting down.
Yep.
And then I don't remember what's the next slide. All right, so then we also before COVID, these big events that I do can be a lot, as you can imagine. So we decided to try to come up with some ideas where we could get more volume, right? More people raising money as opposed to me doing it all. So we came up with an idea for a 12-hour run and music festival on Randall's Island. We did that in 2018, 2019. COVID kind of slowed that whole thing down. So then after the last Central Park row, we came up with an idea in Delaware, where we have a home, in Sea Colony in Bethany Beach. So we hosted a tennis, pickleball tournament. It was a whole weekend-long event, and then there was a 5K run on Sunday to finish it. And there were cocktail parties and dinners and all of that stuff. And then So after all of that time, we've raised over $2.6 million for the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. And just some other, all of these events over the years, we've been on basically every major, television station, print and online media. If we go to the next slide, there's just some more of that. So, these events have grown, and this whole, we call it the journey, has grown into a big, really community thing. And you'll see if you look up there's always other people around. We have a whole team of people. And then in 2017, this is a documentary that was done based on our run in 2016 that Tribeca Film did. It was at the Tribeca Film Festival. If you want to watch it, it is available on Prime. You just Google my name and 200 miles and it'll pop up. And then lots of, partners over the years. These are just a sampling of, some of the big international companies, and then all the way to, local people from our neighborhood, Club Fit, Captain Lawrence, Stonefire, things like that. So the ask is this year I wanna do a new event, and I thought doing it in our hometown and with our community would make the most sense, celebrating 20 years. Obviously, we wanna raise a lot of money, but the goal is to row 100 miles and do 10,000 push-ups in 36 hours. And hopefully raise $250,000 for the foundation. I also think that what you'll find interesting if you approve this is you'll see the community will definitely hear about, they'll gather around, people will come, the kids will wanna try to row. So I'll have, if you saw in the earlier pictures, I'll have 2 other rowers, so people can come and participate, kids, adults, whatever. And I would like to do it on the same weekend as the book festival and the farmer's market. Because obviously that's the busiest weekend, and the more people that are around, the better it is for the foundation. And yeah, that's it.
Just to mention, your setup is two
yeah.
10 by 10 tents.
It's 2 10 by 10 tents. We talked to Chief Carroll about it as well. I think it was last week. And it would be right next to Bobo's, where those short-term parking spots are in the old taxi stand. It's a very safe spot, it's blocked by the barricade, so the cars coming from the other direction. Which is the whole point of all of this, is so you understand that we know what we're doing. We've been doing it a long time, we've done events that are much bigger than what we're doing. This is just a 2-tent setup. One is for the foundation to have their swag and their, fundraising equipment and all of that, and whatever we're giving away. And then the other, that slide, so that's one tent, and then to the left of that is the other tent that just has all of the foundation's materials, and then all of my gear and my cruise gear that we just need to stay hydrated and fed and all of that.
So you talked to Chief about that, the location is safe
Yes,
for
absolutely.
everybody. It's, it's the book festival day, so there aren't cars going
Right.
through, and it would be right between Bobo's and the book
And the
festival
taxi stand.
location, so people would be
So
passing
Like right
through.
next
There
to
will be
it.
cars going through in front of the Bobo's, but it's behind, the Jersey Bears are here, right? It's the south side of Bobo's where the old taxi stand is.
Yeah.
So he's set back, so it's not, so the traffic's
Got
going
it.
that way and he's well away from the traffic, so it's
So
a good-
you're good, you're
I'm
good
comfortable
with
with the
it,
location,
okay.
sure.
I think that considering how well you've done elsewhere and this is your hometown, I think it would be nice for it to happen
Thank you,
here
I
as
was-
well.
hoping to hear that.
All you need from us, it's not the town raising money, we're just allowing you
I just need the
to
space.
use the
yeah,
space
Yeah,
to do that, so
Yeah.
we don't get into any legal questions of the town raising funds for an organization, we were just, right, so we're just providing space the way we do for
Correct.
any other organization or individual.
and the other municipalities,
Which we've done-
New York
we've done
City, all
before.
of that, it's the same thing, usually it's us paying the money to them.
Right.
There's usually fees.
Eric, do you mind me asking why this foundation?
I was going to ask.
So I have a family friend of ours who was diagnosed in 2002. So I started with one marathon just to support her, and it just turned into something honestly we never expected. And now she's passed, but we have so many friends that have it and that have also passed, so we've met just more and more people over the years. So we got ourselves into this thing that honestly we can't get out of. And it's great, I'm not complaining about it, it's just that it's turned into a much bigger thing. And by the way, I was looking Mr. Diddleman up, who I didn't know, he passed away from multiple myeloma. That's what I was looking at my
It's a
phone.
sign.
Tatiana Schlossberg, is that, did she pass from that as well?
I don't know her. I do know one person in town, I don't know if he's private or not, but
I
who
actually
has
know.
it.
We have a good friend who's fighting right now,
Yeah.
so I'm all in.
Well, you've certainly found quite an interesting and I don't know if saying exciting
Intense.
is
Sometimes
appropriate.
Exhausting.
That too.
Inspiring.
Impressive way of showing support and gaining some enthusiasm for the cause. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And,
bringing this to us.
So it
Thanks
sounds
for
like
having me. I'm
no one has a
excited.
problem
Thanks,
with
Rob.
doing
Thanks,
this.
Christina. Thanks,
Our
Chief.
great Minnesota
Oh, you do?
team.
Oh, okay.
She's so sweet.
She might be
and
watching, so
special,
she's
yeah.
gonna go, okay.
What's the date of the book fair? Do we have? what
It's
is
in
the date?
September sometime, usually
I think it's the
third week.
third weekend maybe.
Yes,
Weekend.
Community
So
So I
Day is
noticed
the
your sons
19th.
were in a couple
So it's the
pictures.
weekend
Have they
Uh,
gone the distance with you
26th,
or?
the 19th is the.
So the last
is
time
community.
in Central Park,
September.
Jared
26th,
ran not the whole, no, nobody's ever run the whole
200
distance. I mean, I had
miles.
one guy run over 100 miles with me once, actually a couple times. But Jared did like 7 or 8 loops the last time.
Wow,
Kyle probably did like 6. I mean, yeah, so you know,
it's
there's
impressive.
people that get out there and they're like, I've never run more than 3 miles. And then 20 miles later, they're like, I can't believe I just did that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
People do a lot more than
It's
you
inspiring.
think you can.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking the time and thanks
Well,
for your
thank
vote
you.
of confidence. I hope
Thanks
you
for
all
your
come out and
patience.
I'm sure we'll be talking.
Yeah, so
before
we'll
and
set
all
up
that,
logistics,
yeah.
I don't think, Chief, I don't know of a permit or anything that's required, do you?
I mean, not on my end,
Yeah.
but insurance.
Yeah, so that's,
can do
we'll
that.
need a certificate of insurance,
Yeah,
but
that's not a
I
problem.
can't think of any
Yeah.
any permit fees that we're gonna require.
Okay, if there's anything you need, it's not an issue. Again, we've dealt with this before. We have a whole team of people
Yep.
At the foundation, so insurance, not an issue. We have everybody who comes and participates sign waivers. And I don't know what else.
Okay.
We
Well,
don't
thanks
need
for-
any resources, right? If you want us to get an EMT, we've done that too when it's been required.
CVAC will already be there because of the book festival.
Yeah, they're not gonna be there all the time,
Yeah,
but
36
That's true,
hours.
yeah.
yeah.
We're just down the street.
We'll check on
But
it.
whatever, whatever you,
Yeah.
my point is,
And-
whatever you
and
need.
Going out at 4 AM, we
We'll
want,
get it.
he's
We'll
gotta
check it
do
out.
10,000
We've
push-ups.
dealt with Central Park, so you can imagine.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So at what time would you start?
Probably 7 or 8 AM
Okay.
on Saturday and then finish,
7.
yeah, I think it'd be great to run
Oh, he's
like
gotta do.
that day and run through the whole festival.
Sure.
Cause then as people see it, they're gonna be like, you're gonna be here tomorrow? And they'll come
Right.
back.
Definitely.
Interesting.
So, yeah, they'll come back and be like, oh my God, you're still here, and they'll wanna row and it's fun, yeah.
Have you been
Chief
in touch with?
volunteered to row too, right?
Listen, I don't wanna get injured, I don't wanna town workers' comp claims.
Right, not in uniform. Yeah, the NYPD jumped in, they
Have you
like
been
crazy.
in touch with the book festival?
Not, yeah, I haven't been, I just,
Yeah, we'll reach out to
Yeah.
the book
We'll let
festival.
them know, yeah.
I wanted to, yeah, get everything.
It won't impact them, but it's sure good to let them know.
In fact, they
Maybe
may
we could
drive
use an
traffic
advertisement.
to them as a, and vice versa.
If I'm bringing traffic to them, that would be amazing. There'll probably be
Wow.
some people, obviously, that'll get there that are my friends coming from the city, but I'm relying on,
And people come from out of town to go to the book festival as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I'm glad you came to your hometown
me too,
to do this event. It's
Thank
great,
you.
it's wonderful.
I appreciate
So
it,
good luck, setting
Thanks.
things up.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank
And
you.
just
Okay.
when the time comes, we just wanna review the waiver and make sure it covers the covers the town as well as the
Yeah, I'll get you all that and we have a lot of time, but
like you
I
said, if you got past
Central Park, I figured I could
Yeah,
probably.
really, yeah, true, true.
Central Park doesn't.
No problem, yeah, we'll take care of whatever the town needs to feel comfortable.
Is that the loop or is it around the actual
So
Yeah.
Central Park closes from 1 AM to 6 AM. So it's the loop
and
and then I had to go outside, which they're almost exactly the same actually, the square, cause the loop's moving around a lot. But it's not as hilly on the outside. But you got all this, whatever, I could go on for hours and hours, but yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
have a
you.
good night,
Good night.
thanks, alright, see you guys. Good night. Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, so we've reached public comment period, seeing that there's no one in the audience for public comment, are there any raised hands online for public comment? No hands are raised. We have one hand, okay. Can you see who that is? Miro?
Can you guys hear me?
Miro, yes. Oh, I know why, you're calling about the traffic study.
No, I'm calling about, no, I'm kidding, yes, I'm the traffic study.
Hi, Miro.
Hi guys, well, first of all, thank you so much for being proactive. Shout out to Eric, Vicky, Holly, I've spoken to you guys a lot about this. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on what I'm seeing as a resident, as somebody who uses Douglas Road for commuting, and just as a neighbor. I'm glad to see that there's progress being made. I'm also glad to see that Douglas is off of the list of streets that's considered to be excluded from the 25-mile-an-hour speed reduction. So awesome. A couple of things that I was thinking about since I last saw the Creighton Manning presentation, which was I think in the fall or maybe early winter. We've got those speed reductions around the school zones that go to 20 or 25 from 30 or 35 mile an hour roads. So as far as it goes, when you reduce the speed limit and you adequately post and enforce it, I think it can work really well. And I just think that, full in support of this initiative. Love to see and track where it goes over the next, call it 6 to 8 to 10 months. But as a resident who bikes down from, half a mile out from the Metro North Station, multiple times per week, I can tell you that 3 out of 4 cars are, call it very polite. They slow down for pedestrians, for people walking their dogs, for people just taking a walk on these roads. But it's that 1 in 4 that I think from a cultural perspective, from like an education perspective, we really do need to do a better job of infusing a pedestrian safety mindset in town. We've got over 100 households here between where essentially Bell is, or the Metro North stop is, or all the shops in town are, and half a mile out. There are a lot of people out on these roads. There are a lot of people who I think want to walk. I did this informal study or survey 2 years ago, and just the anecdotal information that Vicky I've sent to the town board, you guys have that. People who have been here for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years are saying, hey, I really love to walk to town, but I just don't feel safe. I think it's just an opportunity for us to leave our mark on this town and set an agenda that may be a decade in the future, even longer, that has a vision of kind of a pedestrian forward mindset where we all feel safe to walk on these roads. These are all Civil War era roads, right? Where it was horse and carriage in the beginning. And now we've got big cars driving. It's about just educating and instilling a culture of safety, pedestrian prioritization, and of course, all the intricacies that Creighton Manning can propose for slowing down traffic and making everything safer. That's all I'll say. Thank you so much for looking into this. I appreciate you guys' efforts and again, the prioritization around all this.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
thanks for calling in, Miro, thanks for watching.
Of course.
And if you notice at the end, I did ask for advice on an educational awareness campaign. So, the speed reduction is only step one, as we know. And so we're, going at it one step at a time. Or maybe a few steps at a time, but we're waiting for that traffic study to be finalized. Okay, he's off. All right, thank you. Anyone else online? Any other hands raised? Okay, all right, so that concludes the public comment period. Rob, you went through the administrative items and
Yeah, I'll say the only thing that appears on the consent agenda that we didn't go over, but we just heard the presentation, was the authorization to use town property. So
we added
prayer.
that after the presentation, okay. And it is on the resolutions, okay, good. Okay, so let's start with the resolutions and with the consent agenda. Eric, do you wanna get us started?
Absolutely, I move to adopt the items 1 through 8 as listed on the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $1,300,038 $480.72, 2025 expenditures totaling $1,216,118.18, and 2026 expenditures totaling $122,362.54, listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher details report, all dated January 12th, 2026. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Monday, January 12th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Do you want me to read this?
Yep.
Okay. I move to accept the resignation of Eric Marmon as a member of the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee effective retroactively to December 31st, 2025.
Second, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Is it a good time to mention that I'll be the
Yeah, I
liaison
was just
for that
about-
committee? So yeah.
Just mentioned it, good.
There we go.
So you're back on
I'm back
in a
on.
different capacity. All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the appointment of Norbert Goldberg as a member of the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee for a 2-year term effective February 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Norbert, those are big shoes to fill, my man.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we're going to,
do you wanna skip
yeah,
over?
I think
Okay.
since we hadn't talked to the chair, but we talked to you as liaison, so
Okay, so go with 4?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she in favor of it?
yeah, Holly told
Yeah.
us, so we're good with that.
I move
We
to
trust-
I move to authorize the appointment of Laura Lenahan as a member of the Conservation Board for a 2-year term effective February 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Jen, do you wanna take the last one?
Two more.
Two more.
I move to authorize the appointment of resident Jorge Rodriguez as the Town of Newcastle civil officer, which includes serving subpoenas, summonses, and complaints for a 2-year term effective January 24th, 2026 through December 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the hiring of Carl Short for the position of 4th grade police officer with the Town of Newcastle Police Department at the annual salary of $84,728.39 effective February 23rd, 2026, or the date Westchester County approves the resignation reinstatement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are hereby adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and good night.